Can a man really swim in molten lava? Think about that for a moment. It sounds like something straight out of a superhero movie, or maybe a tall tale told around a campfire. We see it in video games and fantasy films all the time. A hero leaps across a river of fire or a monster emerges from a bubbling pit. But could a real person made of flesh and bone actually do it? Could you dive into a pool of liquid rock and come out the other side? It's a question that defies everything we think we know about survival. It pushes the boundaries of human endurance to their absolute breaking point and beyond. The very idea seems completely absurd, doesn't it? Our bodies are fragile. We get sunburned. We burn our hands on a hot stove. A splash of boiling water is enough to send us to the hospital. So, plunging into a substance that has literally melted Earth seems like a one-way ticket to oblivion. It's hotter than the inside of an oven cranked to its maximum setting, multiplied by 10. The sheer heat alone should be enough to incinerate a person instantly. So, what exactly is lava? We all know it's hot and comes from volcanoes, but that's just scratching the surface. Lava is molten rock that has been expelled from the interior of a planet. Deep beneath our feet, the Earth's mantle is a sweltering layer of semi-solid rock. When this rock melts and makes its way to the surface through a volcano's vent, we call it lava. But it's not just liquid rock. It's a complex soup of silicate minerals, dissolved gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide, and solid crystals. Think of it less like water, and more like a thick, scorching hot, rocky porridge that glows with intense heat. Now let's talk about temperature. This is where things get truly terrifying. The temperature of lava can range from about 700 to 1,200 degrees Celsius. That's 1,300 to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. To put that into perspective, the oven in your kitchen might go up to 260 degrees Celsius or 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Lava is 4 to 5 times hotter than that. It's so hot that it glows bright red, orange, white. At these temperatures, most things don't just burn, they vaporize. Steel will melt, rocks will melt. It is one of the most destructive forces on our planet, capable of burying entire towns and reshaping landscapes in a matter of hours. Every great mystery needs a central character, and the legend of the lava swimmer is no different. The story surfaced online and in old folklore often speaks of a mysterious figure. Sometimes he's a scientist with a secret suit. Other times, he's a native islander who knows a hidden ritual. One persistent version centers on a so-called volcanologist from the early 20th century. The legend claims this man, Dr. Eris Thorne, believed he'd discovered a way to cheat death and swim in a volcano. He was obsessed, driven by a quest for knowledge pushed to the brink of sanity. He spent years studying lava on remote volcanic islands. He supposedly developed a special paste made from rare minerals, organic compounds. The paste, when applied to skin, would create a temporary heat-proof barrier. It would trigger a powerful, localized scientific effect we'll discuss later. He believed it would last just long enough for a quick, triumphant dip in molten rock. The climax is dramatic and unbelievable. Dr. Thorne, covered in shimmering paste, approached the edge of a slow-moving lava flow. His assistants, sworn to secrecy, watched in horror and awe. According to the tale, he calmly stepped onto the lava's surface. For a few breathtaking seconds he seemed to stand on it, then wade in the glowing rock parting around him. Of course, it reads like a tall tale. There are no official records of Dr. Eris Thorne, no scientific papers ever detailed his formula. It's a fantastic story, a modern myth from fascination with nature's power, but it plants a seed of doubt. It makes us ask, what if? Could there be a shred of truth? Could someone have stumbled on a secret science hasn't recognized? Now it's time for a cold, hard dose of reality. From a scientific standpoint, the idea of swimming in lava is not just dangerous, it's fundamentally impossible for a human being. Let's break down exactly what would happen the moment you came into contact with it. First, the heat. We're not talking about a simple burn. The air just above a lava flow can reach hundreds of degrees. Your lungs would be seared instantly just from breathing it in. The moisture in your eyes would boil away in a fraction of a second. The moisture in your throat would boil away in a fraction of a second. The moisture in your lungs would boil away in a fraction of a second. You would be dead from the heat before you even touched the liquid rock. But let's say, for the sake of argument, you could somehow survive the atmospheric heat and touch the lava. Remember that incredible density we talked about? You wouldn't sink. You would land on the surface. But this isn't like landing on a trampoline. The surface of lava is over 1,000 degrees Celsius. The instant your body made contact, all the water in your cells would flash boil. This would create a violent explosion of steam, basically blowing you apart from the inside out. Just when science seems to have shut the door completely, it opens a tiny, fascinating window. This window is called the Leidenfrost effect. You've probably seen it in action without even knowing its name. Have you ever sprinkled water droplets onto a very hot skillet? Sometimes, instead of boiling away instantly, the droplets skitter across the surface, dancing around for a few seconds before they evaporate. What's happening is that the bottom layer of the water droplet instantly vaporizes when it touches the hot pan. That creates a small protective cushion of steam. So, could this effect apply to a human and lava? In theory, skin moisture would flash boil, creating a steam layer. It sounds like a sliver of hope. But reality is far more complex and dangerous. The Leidenfrost effect works on tiny droplets, not on whole human bodies. For as long as humans have lived in the shadow of volcanoes, we have created stories to explain their terrifying and awesome power. These myths and legends from around the world are filled with gods, goddesses, monsters who dwell within the fiery mountains. In Hawaii, the goddess of volcanoes is Pele. She is a powerful, passionate, and often unpredictable deity who is said to live in the Halemaumau crater at the summit of Kilauea. When she is angry, the ground trembles and lava flows. Her hair is said to be the fine strands of volcanic glass known as Pele's hair, and her tears are the small droplets of lava that cool into inky black stones. In ancient Roman mythology, the god Vulcan Hephaestus in Greek mythology had his forge under Mount Etna in Sicily. He was the blacksmith of the gods, and the smoke and fire that billowed from the volcano were believed to be from his mighty forge, as he crafted thunderbolts for Jupiter and weapons for the other gods. The very word volcano comes from his name. These stories were a way for people to make sense of a force that was completely beyond their control. By giving it a face and a personality, they could try to appease it with offerings and rituals. In the folklore of Iceland, a land forged by fire and ice, volcanoes were often associated with sorcerers and giants. Some legends told of trolls and evil spirits who were trapped inside the mountains, their roars of fury shaking the earth during an eruption. In other tales, the fires of the volcano Hekla were believed to be the entrance to hell. This brings us to the real-life story of volcanologist Katja Kraft and her husband Maurice. They were famous French scientists. They dedicated their lives to documenting volcanic eruptions up close. They were true daredevils known for getting dangerously close to lava flows. They captured breathtaking footage and gathered invaluable data. They believed that by understanding volcanoes they could help save lives by improving eruption predictions and evacuation plans. In one of their most famous and daring feats, Maurice Kraft decided to test the limits. In a now famous video, Maurice can be seen approaching a still glowing semi-crusted lava flow. He tentatively pokes it with a shovel, then carefully, for just a split second, places his booted foot onto the surface. Tragically, the Kraft's passion for volcanoes ultimately led to their deaths. In 1991, they were caught in a pyroclastic flow at the eruption of Mount Unzen in Japan. They died instantly alongside 41 other people. So, after diving deep into the science, the myths, and the real-life daredevils, what's the final verdict? Can a man swim in lava? The answer is a clear, definitive, and absolute no. Scorching heat that would vaporize your lungs, the extreme density that would prevent you from sinking, the flash boiling of your body's water on contact makes it utterly unsurvivable. The laws of physics and biology are not suggestions, they are ironclad rules. And when it comes to lava, those rules guarantee a swift and certain end. The legend of the lava swimmer is just that, a legend. Reality is far more interesting than the myth. The bizarre Leidenfrost effect, fleeting protection, but no match for a river of fire. The incredible bravery of scientists like the Crafts. They wore silver suits to study, not to perform stunts. They walked on the cooling crust of lava, as close as humans get. Their work reminds us that knowledge is the ultimate survival tool. Stories and myths, Hawaiian goddess Pele, Roman god Vulcan. These tales were our first science. They teach, don't conquer, understand and respect from a very, very safe distance. The dream of swimming in lava taps into wanting to be invincible. But it's a dream for movies and video games, not reality. The natural world is full of wonders that are beautiful and deadly. Survival is about knowing the difference. Respect the power of the environment. The lava swimmer is fiction. The truth about volcanoes and the people who study them is more compelling. What do you think? Were you surprised by the science? Have you heard other versions of this legend? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and share. Tell me what other unbelievable stories you want investigated next. Stay safe out there.